Good evening, and thank you for tuning into Canadian American News Network.
We're your hosts for this evening, Jack Offerman.
And I'm Brooke Brunette. Tonight's special, America and Canada, two respected world leaders with two fundamentally different campaign and political styles. How did these two leaders rise to power?
Well, Brooke, why don't we start right from the beginning when both leaders came into office.
Each leader's victory speech said a lot about how the rest of their term will play out.
We'll be examining the physical appearance of each of the speakers' rooms where they delivered the speech, the tone of each speaker, and finally the semiotics behind each of their speeches.
Tonight, we have two experts joining us to provide a little extra insight on each of their speech. Over to you, Tom Boppin.
In the age of domestic brand politics, citizens have now become more like consumers. Consumption habits and political issues have now become synonymous. People are no longer interested in policy. They just want good, familiar branding that they can relate to. Since President Trump comes from an entrepreneurial background, he's going to make the use of a lot of PR and branding politics in order to convey his message. For instance, note all 8 American flags in the background, the name Trump and the MAGA slogan quoted boldly on his podium. The combination of these symbols represents a new America, more powerful and more nationalistic. Prime Minister Trudeau, on the other hand, employs a more minimalist approach. Notice the use of the one single giant Canadian flag to cover the background of the audience, and only the slogan "Real Change Now" in both official languages on his podium. There's just something more authentic to this approach. Everyone feels united under the one flag and under the one leader. Both speakers employ the use of Aristotelian rhetoric in order to ensure very successful speeches. Both political leaders employ the use of ethos, which is the appeal to credibility and trust, by putting their name forward as a logo itself. For instance, the name Trump carries weight behind it from his successful private enterprises, and the name Trudeau carries a lot of weight from the late Pierre Elliott Trudeau's campaigns back in the day, which were very successful. Whereas for pathos, both political leaders are going to appeal to more generic emotions from the audience, such as inclusivity, equality, desire for progress, and meaningful change. The use of proxemics and space between the speaker and the audience played a large role in how the rest of the speech played out. President Trump decided on a more professional distance from the audience, setting a more hierarchical and authoritarian relationship with the audience, whereas Prime Minister Trudeau chose a more intimate relationship with his audience, again promoting that sense of togetherness.
Thank you, Tom Boppin, for your insightful knowledge on President Trump and Prime Minister Trudeau.
Now, let's move on to Stacey out on the streets.
All right, let's start off by discussing the impact that the overall tone of the speech and speaker can have on the perception and acceptance of the speech.
Trump's speech is very focused on rebuilding and restoring the nation. He references the American dream a number of times in his speech. He quotes,
"We will begin the urgent task of rebuilding our nation and renewing the American dream."
As opposed to Trump, who emphasizes restoring America and a passion for the past, which is traditionally a conservative value, Trudeau looks less at the previous years and more of the years ahead with his administration. He quotes,
"Have faith in yourselves and in your country. Know that we can make anything happen if we set our minds to it and work hard. I didn't make history tonight. You did."
He is seen as being sincere, safe, socially responsible, and most importantly, sharing a common fate as the audience, as he continually stresses throughout his speech that the Liberals' victory was Canada's effort and that they are in it together.
Advertisers in the media use the repetitiveness of words to plant key concepts and brand names into the viewer's mind. We have a perfect example of this when Donald Trump uses the word great 12 times during his 15-minute speech.
Great.
Trudeau, on the other hand, doesn't use the repetitiveness of words as much, but he does portray himself to be sincere, which is a factor that influences a source's credibility. So both of these factors, repetitiveness and branding, and sincerity and credibility, are no doubt some of the driving forces that led to both of the leaders' success in their elections.
And that's all we have time for this evening.
Two speakers divided in almost all aspects of their speeches, from the appearance of the room to the overall message and tone of their speech.
Definitely an interesting time in North American politics.
Tune in tomorrow night when we discuss America and Canada. Which bacon is best?
This is Canadian American News Television, Jack Offerman,
Brooke Brunette.
signing off.